Chapter 4. Sake in Silence. A hint of honeydew lingered over her tongue, and as Hannah drained her third cup of sake, she held her alcohol better than most, a skill that her father took full credit for. If her mother had been alive, or if Toshio had any friends to go out drinking with, their nightly routine might have been different. Instead, Toshio seemed perfectly content to simply have Hannah sit quietly across from him at the table, keep him company while they drank sake until his eyelids grew too heavy to keep open. Their evenings were filled with more silent sips than conversations, but Hannah still thought it was a fair exchange. Waiting made the night feel longer, and she was grateful for anything that kept the morning away. But on the eve of her father's retirement, not even the longest pause or slowest sip did anything to lengthen the hour. "Hannah," Toshio said, setting a wrapped box on the table, "this is for you." "For me?" Hannah stared at the box. She recognized the wrapping cloth as one she had recently painted. "A small token to celebrate the next chapter of your life." "Thank you, Otto-san." Her father was a practical man, and so it did not surprise Hannah that he had gifted her a box of tea from the stock meant for their clients. The memory it conjured of the treasure hunts of her childhood made up for any creativity the gift lacked. Her father did not have to say anything for Hannah to know his intent, his eyes slightly misty with tears and everything. "Do you remember what I tell our clients about tea? It tastes different for every person. That rule applies to you too. You have known this tea all your life, but tomorrow when you sip your first cup as the new owner of this pawn shop, you might be surprised at how many things will change, even if, on the surface, they look exactly the same. Do you think you are ready for it? Tonight it's not about me, Otto-san. It is your retirement that we are celebrating. Endings and beginnings are the same point in time. Tonight is as significant to you as it is to me," he said. "Perhaps even more. I can tell that you have a lot on your mind." Hannah wrapped her fingers around the tea box, trying to find some comfort in the cool folds of its silk. "Did it?" Hannah looked away, deciding to keep her thoughts to herself. "Go on. Did it make you happy?" "Did what?" "This pawn shop." "I see." Toshio nodded slowly, pouring sake into his cup. Tomorrow the pawn shop will be your responsibility, and you wonder if it will make you feel as miserable as you believe it made me." No, Otto-san. That is not what I meant." Heat flared in Hannah's cheeks. "I did not say that. Since when did we need words to tell each other exactly how we feel? I would not be passing the pawn shop on to you if you had failed to learn that lesson. We would lose half of our business if we could not hear all the words clients did not say out loud." You have a gift for reading our clients, Hannah. You can read them almost as well as you read me. My work here has never been about trying to be happy. We both know what the pawn shop is really for, what service we actually provide. Hannah stared at her reflection in the window. "Do you ever envy them, Otto-san?" "Envy who?" "Our clients. I know that I should not, but sometimes I—" Toshio slammed his sake cup on the table. "Do I need to remind you about what happened to your mother?" "Oh, shoot. Do I need to remind you about what happened to your mother?" Hannah lowered her head, swallowing hard. She stole a choice from the vault. Toshio lifted Hannah's chin, forcing her to meet his eyes. And paid for her crime with her life." Toshio set his hands on the table and exhaled a sigh that echoed in his chest. When he spoke again, his tone shifted to the gentle one he reserved for more anxious clients. "I know that you do not want this life. You never have. It is the cruelest of duties, but it is also the most important one." "I know, Otto-san, I know. I was not the husband your mother deserved, and neither have I been the best father to you. But I have run this pawn shop as well as I could, and I have tried to train you to do the same. It is all I know, and all I can give you. I failed your mother in the worst possible way, but I hope that I have taught you better. Tomorrow Tomorrow this pawn shop will be yours, and with it, all its rules and consequences. I will not always be around to protect you, Hannah. Promise me that you will not repeat your mother's mistake. You can forget every lesson I ever taught you, but you must never forget that the only choice we are allowed to make in this world is between death or fate." Hannah bowed her head. "I will never forget." Hannah stumbled into bed, her head spinning. She couldn't tell if it was the sake or her father's words that made her dizzy. It was difficult to decide whether what he said sounded like a warning or a goodbye. Hannah was more familiar with the former than most people. Her mother's ghost lived in every room of their home, reminding Hannah about what happened to those who broke the pawn shop's most important rule: forget. Toshio had taught Hannah to say the word before any other, making her repeat it like a prayer when they opened the pawn shop for business in the morning and locked up at night. Once the pawn choices were inside their vault, Hannah had to push them completely from her mind. It didn't matter how bright, beautiful, or fascinating they were. The new owners, who came every new moon to collect the choices of the shop's clients, did not like to share these precious finds. This, Hannah thought, was the real reason why her father kept the vault hidden behind a bookshelf in the pawn shop's back room. Wandering thoughts were the stealthiest of thieves, and Hannah was never allowed to forget the consequences of dwelling on choices that could never be hers. But while warnings were nothing new to her, she did not have much experience with farewells. Her father was as constant as the moon, except for the one silent morning when he was not. It had been 8 months since Hannah had found Toshio lying motionless at the bottom of the stairs after his heart attack. The image remained etched behind her eyelids. It was the last thing she saw before she sank into sleep, and the first thing that greeted her when her dreams ended. Toshio's heart had never fully recovered. Neither had Hannah's. Her chest tightened whenever he looked tired or short of breath. So when Hannah awoke to nothing but the sound of her thoughts on the first day of his retirement, she imagined the worst. She hurried to her bedroom, not bothered to wear her slippers. The door was ajar. "Ato-san." Hannah peeked inside. An empty bed stared back at her. Hannah rushed to the stairs, holding her breath. The stairway and landing were empty. Hannah exhaled. Her father, she told herself, had probably been just as anxious about her first day in charge of their family business as she was, and had gone downstairs to the pawn shop early. Hannah took her time going down the steps, conjuring images of Toshio, reviewing her record books, and checking their inventory of tea. This was a far more pleasant explanation for their home's silence than the second possibility. Hannah was struggling to shove out her... This was a far more pleasant explanation for their home's silence than the second possibility Hannah was struggling to shove out of her mind. She was too young to remember that particular quiet morning when her mother had died. But when she was old enough to understand, Toshio described to her the day her mother's execution for the first and last time. Hannah reached the bottom of the steps and stubbed her toe on something small and hard. A lidless wooden tea box skittered over the floor and crashed into her father's overturned desk. A pale stream of sunlight revealed the rest of the chaos at her feet. Record books strewn everywhere, chairs knocked over, glass shelves shattered. Hannah staggered back and tripped over the stairs. White heat exploded in her tailbone. Hannah bit down a yelp and scrambled to stand. Her eyes flew around and ransacked pawn shop and fell on the trail of sunlight that led over the floorboards, across the room, and out a wide open front door.